Welcome to Leadership Speak, an advanced Toastmaster club for leadership development. We are one of the top 5 clubs globally. I am Zahra Moharir, and your surgeon at arms of today's meeting. The club mission. We provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. Leadership Speak is the premier club for experienced Toastmasters to become better self-directed leaders. We are an advanced club focused primarily on leadership development in everything we do. Our timer has virtual hand raised, so we all immediately see who is keeping the time. Our Toastmaster of the day. Yes, who is none other than Paramjit Singh, is a Toastmaster for last 4 years and is a member of Leadership Speak for last 2 years. He has served different club roles as president, vice president education, and vice president public relations. He is an international and humor champion at division level. He is a winner of international TEL Top contest. He has achieved triple crown for the last 4 years. In professional life, he is working as a design and development manager for one of the prestigious plastic manufacturing organizations and leading a team of 60 people to develop new plastic products. Additionally, he is a certified NLP trainer and growth mindset coach. Please help me to welcome Toastmaster of the Day, Paramjit.
Hello. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Leadership Speaks 147th meeting. It's my privilege to welcome all of you here, new guests. Today, we are having a special meeting, particularly talking about the turbulence. Whenever we are talking about turbulence, the easiest thing which comes to my mind is when we are traveling by a plane, we have a turbulence. And this reminds me of one of the story when one gentleman, a businessman who was very late, and he entered the plane at the last moment, under panic. He went into the plane, sat over there, and he saw one old lady left side and one young girl, small girl, about 10 years old. He was really surprised to see a small girl traveling alone. And as soon as the plane started, after 1.5 hours, the pilot announced that now we are in the bad weather, there will be a turbulence, so please fasten your seat belts and be calm. But the turbulence was so great that everybody was in panic. It was going up and down. The plane was moving one side, left side. Everybody was panic. Somebody was praying, somebody was crying. This old man, the lady was crying, the gentleman was crying, but this small girl sitting over there was just very calm. After about half an hour, the turbulence stopped, and the pilot came onto the public address system and asked, "Oh, thank you very much. We are now out of the turbulence. So let us move. Now our journey will be smooth. Don't worry." Now, this gentleman was very much surprised that a small girl, a young girl, she doesn't have any panic. He said, "You are a brave girl." "Oh, wow." He said, "No, I am brave, of course, but I know the pilot. He is my father, and I trust on you. So, are we leaders? Are we really leaders where our team can say, this is our leader who will pass us through the turbulence? Or are we really that type of leaders who can pass through the storms? Of course, Toastmaster Nthati will let us know very soon about how we can become a leader who can pass through the team and everyone through the turbulence. Before we start, with that, we will be having two sessions today. Generally, one is speeches, prepared speeches, evaluation, and then we'll have another special session, which has become a hallmark of our meeting. That is our trainer Brahm Memon gives us trainings and about the evaluation of the critical evaluation. So before we start, I think the one thing which I learned when coming to leadership speak was the toast. How to give it. I never gave a toast before. And I think that's the one tradition the leadership speak is keeping up. And today we have Toastmaster Terence Ware to raise the toast. Toastmaster Terence, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Toastmaster Paramjit. True leadership isn't revealed on calm seas, but in the stormiest of waters. It is in these times when the horizon is unclear and the winds are fierce that leaders must rise, steadying not just themselves, but everyone around them. In moments of turbulence, leaders show their true courage, not by having all the answers, but by holding on to purpose and guiding others towards it. They embrace change, not as an adversary, but as a chance to chart new courses. They listen, they lift others up, and when decisions need to be made, they step forward with conviction, knowing their choices shape the future for others. To every leader who navigates these difficult waters with resilience, vision, and heart, thank you. Your strength gives us courage, your clarity gives us direction, and your integrity gives us hope. Join me, Toastmasters, in raising a toast to all these amazing leaders and leadership through turbulence. Unmute yourselves, raise your glass.
Hooray! Hooray!
To turbulent, or to leadership through turbulence.
To leadership through
Leadership
turbulence.
through turbulence.
Leadership through turbulence.
Cheers.
Toastmaster Paramjit, over to you.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Terence. We always have the guests as our main prominent participants in our leadership meetings. And we would certainly like to have their feedbacks, what they liked, what they asked us to improve. And there will be a lot of time where we will be sending the messages and a link to share your thoughts. So please fill those forms whenever it comes. Thank you very much. Now, our timer, Dr. John, is here to take up the time for the whole of the meeting. So I'll ask him, Toastmaster John, to describe his role. Over to you, Toastmaster.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, guests and visitors. As timer, I shall time all speakers according to the times on the agenda, and I will post the time at the end of each section. I will also display the green, yellow, and red background according to the times on the agenda. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Toastmaster John. Now, it's time for introducing our grammarian, DTM Rosie Rana. She will be looking after all the meeting and will let us know how many roses and how many thrones were there in the whole leadership rose bush. Over to you, Toastmaster Rosie.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. As your grammarian, it is my responsibility to pay close attention to all the speakers. I will be listening carefully to the use of language. I will take note of improper use of language as well as any outstanding words, quotes, or thoughts. It is also my duty as a grammarian to introduce today's word of the day. And as you can see in front of you, today's word of the day is gritty. Gritty means courageous, persistent, having strong qualities of tough, uncompromising realism. An example using this word in a sentence is, I admired her gritty determination in the face of turbulence. I encourage every one of you to use the word of the day frequently as you're called upon to speak, and I will give my grammarian's report when called upon to do so towards the end of the meeting. Thank you very much, and back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Josie. Now, next, let us move to our prepared speeches. Before we prepare, we have an education speech. And today, we are having education speech on Turbulence by Toastmaster Nthati Mokhantso. Before I ask her to start her speech, I will ask to Toastmaster Ray Rivero, the evaluator, to give us the project objectives.
Thank you very much, Paramjit. The objectives for this speech is that Nthati is going to present us a keynote speech that will convey a message at a professional level. The style may be humorous, informational, or any other style that she deems appropriate. Also, she wants me to take a look at her local society, if her message resonates with us at Leadership Speak, and if the flow of the structure of her speech resonates with all of us. Over to you, Mr. Paramjit Singh.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Ray. Nthati Mokhantso. She has been a Toastmaster since October 2022 and comes from South Africa. As a public administrator and a disaster management practitioner, she has identified a need for leaders to continue to develop the skills and strategies necessary to effectively lead in times of uncertainty. And she is going to share with us aspects of leading through the leadership, leading through the turbulence. Leading Toastmaster Nthati, leading leadership through turbulence, Toastmaster Nthati.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. The greatest leaders are those who can navigate the storms, calm the fears, and chart the new course to a brighter future. These are the words of John Maxwell. Mr. Toastmasters, fellow Toastmasters and guests, as we traverse the path of effective leadership, it is important to examine the critical qualities of leading through turbulence. Let me start with the wise man, Heraclitus, who said, the only constant in life is change. I believe that many of us gathered here would agree that our world today is at the intersection of chaos and opportunity, a unity of opposites. Fellow Toastmasters, the world we live in, challenges that are faced by our leaders mainly is to learn to lead in extremely volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous environments. This world is characterized by situations which are inclusive of ever-changing global landscape, climate change, which threatens the very core of the existence of humankind, as well as artificial intelligence with its per second, per millisecond evolution. But the question is, what is our positionality as leaders in this globe? Are we adapting to change? Are we leading through it? Or is it just business as usual? What do we do to change the status quo? Nowadays, turbulence is a new normal. However, leaders have to learn to change gears so that we can be able to lead in this turbulence. There are three forces which my focus and interest is at. These are the climate change, artificial intelligence, as well as globalization. All these three, when utilized appropriately, bring and create competitive advantages for the world as well as for organizations. Fellow Toastmasters, we are living in an era of increased uncertainty, which Mukobadei say refer to it as the one sure thing about our existence and survival is uncertainty. The change occurs very rapidly. And also, we are interconnected, as is the situation today in this platform. We come from different walks of life. We come from different areas of the globe with varying cultures, varying world views informed by how we live, what we believe in. Fellow Toastmasters, the leader of today is expected to be proactive rather than reactive. Winter says leaders tend to be more reactive, their tempo tends to be driven by what is happening to the leader at that point in time, rather than by how, as a leader, I am supposed to respond to the situation. He advises that the trick is to turn it around and say, how do I, as a leader, respond to what is happening here and now, rather than reacting? Because reaction is subjective. It is not objective. Fellow Toastmasters, the situation today requires effective leaders, leaders who are able to navigate through turbulence. Therefore, leaders, to be effective, need to, one, be able to anticipate as well as be able to mitigate risks. How is this done? Leaders need to conduct risk assessment to ensure that they build communities that are resilient. In conducting risk assessment, amongst others, they evaluate the extent to which communities are vulnerable. From them, leaders working together in collaboration with the teams they lead, with communities, they devise strategies and tactics to mitigate the risks, to avoid the risks that have been identified, as well as to ensure that the impact of the risks does not harm communities or the organizations or the teams. Fellow Toastmasters, it is always pivotal to be proactive rather than reactive. By being proactive, leaders are able to inculcate a culture of informed decisions, because the decisions that they take are data-driven. They become able to inspire and motivate those that they lead. Fellow Toastmasters, as the globe, a few years back, we were struck by a pandemic, COVID-19. I will narrate briefly how it impacted me as a person or as a leader. When COVID-19 knocked at the doors of South Africa. The question that I always ask, were we ready? I ask the same question at this platform today. Were we ready as leaders? We were not ready in South Africa. Others say, yes, we were ready because when the number of affected seemed to threaten, a state of emergency was declared and there was a lockdown. The question is, why did we as a country and other countries have lockdown? It was to prepare a response. If we were ready, was it really necessary that we were indoors? Or should I call it a house arrest? Fellow Toastmasters, because of my work, while everyone was inside the premises, indoors, we had to traverse and ensure that there is compliance. Indeed, people are indoors for their safety until the country was ready to control, was ready with regulations, with bylaws to mitigate the risk of the spread of the COVID-19. Some amongst us were not as lucky as us because they could not make it through. In their selfless dedication to the safety of our communities, they became victims and sacrificed their lives. The legislation that was applicable then was the Disaster Management Act. Yes, we learned the hard way because immediately post-COVID-19, our leaders took it upon their shoulders to ensure that the Department of Health has appropriate legislation to respond should pandemic strike of any nature. Do we really have to learn the hard way? Do we really have to be reactive? Fellow Toastmasters, to successfully lead through turbulence, let us consider these 5 key strategies. We need visionary thinking leaders. These leaders develop clear, adaptable vision. These leaders are not inside looking, but they look beyond the immediate context. And at the same time, they are able to function in uncertain, unpredictable environments and with a focus to the future. These leaders possess some of the following skills: futuristic outlook. They are emotionally intelligent. They have an ability to think critically and are good communicators. They, at all times, whenever they get an opportunity to coach and motivate, they use their skills and expertise to motivate people, because people are in need of coaches. These leaders lead by example. They create an environment where talent is developed and moved from being a potential to being an ability. These leaders create a platform where capabilities and opportunities are leveraged. The current turbulent world needs resilient leaders. These leaders are those that foster a culture of learning. They foster a culture of innovation and adaptability. Thirdly, the current world needs leaders who are able to create collaboration. Today we are gathered here as a globe. It is in platforms like these that collaborations, networks are created. Fellow Toastmasters, the current turbulent environment requires agile leaders who are able to embrace flexibility so that they are able to make decisions rapidly, informed decisions that are able to lead to the safety of our communities. And lastly, the world need leaders who are able to foster a mindset shift. In conclusion, fellow Toastmasters, as we are gathered here, it rests within ourselves to ensure that we are leaders who are able to lead in this turbulent world. We are leaders who are courageous, resilient, and visionary. We have the power to shape the future. Let us harness turbulence to drive transformation and build resilient communities. Remember, it is only change that is constant in life. But effective leadership changes turbulence into opportunities for growth, into economic opportunities. Fellow Toastmasters, let us all learn through turbulence. Let us unlock resilience and work together in collaboration to create a brighter and more sustainable future for all those that will come after us. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Nthati. Who else can give us a better information about how to become a good leadership in turbulence? The one who is already doing it in disaster management, and is your passion and the way you have delivered it. And the two takeaways for me is like proactive approach and flexibility. I think these are the two things which will make us resilient and we become an effective leaders. Thank you very much, Toastmaster Nthati. Our first speaker today is Nicole Miller Douglas. Before I call upon her to speak about, let me ask the evaluator, Vinod Panicker, to deliver the project objectives.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster of the Day. Toastmaster Nicole is going to present her speech from the Path Motivational Strategies. It's a level 3 project and the first project of level 3. The purpose statement of the project is for the members to cultivate an understanding of how his or her emotions impact relationship. It is also designed to help the member identify how others' emotion impact her emotional state. And the purpose of the speech is for the member to share some aspect of her experience journaling emotions or being aware of emotions when interacting with others. The timing would be 5 to 7 minutes. Thank you. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Vinod. Nicole Miller Douglas. She is a Toastmaster from about 11 months, but she has already made a niche for herself. And she even reached the semi-finals for our 7-minute challenge. Nicole Miller Douglas. What is happening to me? What is happening to me? Nicole Miller Douglas.
What's happening to me was a question I had to ask myself on October 15th. That sparked my response to journal my emotions. It also coincided with a recent experience. I picked up my daughter and there I heard one big bang of the door, the car door as she entered. Mom, why are you so late to pick me up? I was about to react, but I chose instead to respond. It was the 2 weeks journal that I did between October 15 to 29 that came to my rescue. I recognize that this project is very useful. It's relevant. For me, on this specific occasion, it was very timely, valuable, and reusable. So back to where my daughter was angry and she just blurted out to me, I wanted to interpret that as her being disrespectful to her mom. However, because I had recently pursued journaling my emotions, I was able to respond instead of react. I was about to yell back at her. Child, who do you think you're talking to? But instead, I applied a mechanism that I came up with as a result of journaling my emotions. I call it ACE your emotions. Acknowledge, cope, and express. Acknowledge the emotions that you're experiencing. It is okay, and it is a necessary step to identify the emotions that one is experiencing. C is for cope. Find coping mechanisms to deal with the emotions. And thirdly, express them in an intelligent way that would assist in the preservation of a good relationship. Back to the situation with my daughter yelling at me. Why are you so late in picking me up? I wanted to yell back at her, but my ACE reminded me, acknowledge that I too feel upset because of what she has said to me. But mentally, I need to determine how to cope with this current situation. And then I'm going to express myself with understanding. So at first, I had to take some deep breath as I acknowledged that I too was feeling angry because of an emotion that she expressed to me. I was about to adopt the same kind of anger that she expressed and react to her. But instead, I took my deep breath and I acknowledged that she was angry because I was late for pickup. What are the coping strategies I employed then? I decided to explain to her what was the situation and then to express myself clearly. It is a time and season of the year that the upcoming holidays will allow us to experience a variety of emotions, joy, excitement, even anger, nervousness. This particular presentation can only cover 2 emotions to be able to express to you clearly. The anger. It's okay to experience anger, but how do you make an assessment to deal with it? I had to, in turn, express to my daughter that I too feel angry when I'm on the road. There's a lot of traffic, but I have to determine how to express that anger, how to deal with it. The upcoming holidays, we will see more traffic on the road. We will experience more delays. What can we do so that we don't have to blurt out and react in anger, but instead understand the emotions that we're feeling and to express it in a way that both of us can feel comfortable? So I had to explain to her that the traffic on the road is out of my control. But what is in my control is that I can prepare how to help you to manage future experiences that allow you to feel anger. So we started having a discussion in the car. She spoke about other times when she felt angry at school, her friends, what they said to her, how it made her feel, and how she reacted. But instead, I encouraged her no longer to react, but to respond. And responding means that you're going to use the ACE tool that I'm giving you. Acknowledge your emotions. How do you really feel about the situation? determine how you will cope with it, and express yourself clearly. So, in using my example and what she said she experienced at school when she was faced with a bully, I told her it's okay to just breathe. When you're feeling anger, breathe. And then you determine how to express yourself clearly. You tell your classmate, I'm feeling angry because of what you said to me, but I choose not to react in anger to you. Instead, I will allow you to demonstrate how you are feeling, and I will express myself later when I feel more controlled. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, emotional intelligence is relevant and important so that we can preserve our relationships. Over to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Nicole. Thank you very much for reminding everyone how emotional intelligence can be helpful to us, particularly for the anger management. Thank you. Toastmaster Hannah, please post the guest feedback form in the chat. Our second speaker is Toastmaster Luciano, Joao. I will request Dr. John Ajafo, his evaluator, to share with us the project objective.
I'm sorry, I'm
most of the day. Luciano's evaluator is Rose.
Rose Pamela, sorry, Rose Pamela. I request Rose, apologies, Rose. You are not audible, Rose.
Can you hear me now? I will be evaluating Luciano, who is under his leadership development pathway, level 1, project 2, speech. The purpose of his project is to learn or review basic methods for writing a speech with a defined purpose and to present a well-organized speech on any topic. The speech may be humorous, informational, or any style that he would choose. He would like to present a formula for people to use or to develop their own. I will be looking out for a well-structured speech with a defined purpose, clearly focused, and well-delivered. Luciano's speech will be a 5 to 7 minute delivery. Luciano is very gritty, and I would wish you, Luciano, all the best. Back to you, TMOD.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Rose. Toastmaster Luciano. He is a Toastmaster from last 9 years. He is a process safety engineer. He's a good reader, reads a lot, and want to become DTM from Angola. Toastmaster Luciano. My formula, Luciano, Joao. Over to you.
Thank you. Just confirming. Can you hear me well? Just thumbs up. Life is a struggle. It's not easy to get through in life. What struggle are you overcoming today? To get through in life, you have to be courageous. You have to be gritty. You have to be persistent, because life is a struggle life is a turbulence. Going through life, there are many things that you have to go through and you have to overcome. For instance, when I went through university, it was not easy to get to university. It was difficult because you have to get the best marks to get to university. When I did my engineering degree in chemical engineering, my degree in chemical engineering, you had to get over 75% in maths and science just to get admitted to university. Then you get admitted to university. It's not easy for you to remain at university because if you fail a subject twice, they would send you home for 12 months so that you can rest and think about it. You need to be committed. It was not difficult to get in, to stay in, and even to leave university, because for you to finish your degree at your fourth year, your final year, you had to give your best, your A game in your final year, because you had to work from Monday to Friday from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. because you had to give all to it, be fully committed. It was a struggle, not easy to overcome. But something that I did in order to get through the struggles in life, you need to find a way to be more efficient, more productive, in order for you to overcome all those struggles. Because, as you know, life is a struggle. Life is turbulent, but you have to be courageous, you have to be gritty, and you have to be persistent in order to overcome that. When I was 17 years old, I moved to South Africa. I grew up in Angola, and then when I was 17, I moved to South Africa because I wanted to get a better studies, and the schools are better that side. So I moved when I was 17, getting to a new country where the language was not Portuguese, which is my mother tongue, and a tongue that I speak fluently. I went to another country and I had to get used to the language. I went to high school. And one thing that I found while I was doing to high school is it was difficult. It was a struggle. But I had to come up with ways to be more productive because I was speaking a language which I was not used to. It was difficult. And I had to come with ways to do that in order to be successful. What I did, what I came up with, it's with a certain tactic in my studies. What did I do? I used to revise every single day. I went to school from Monday to Friday, and after a subject, I would get home and study everything. Study all the coursework every single day. So when the test came and the exam came, I would just flick through the pages and I was prepared for the exam because I did all that pre-work. That was a formula that I developed in order to be successful at high school. Then I finalized that school for years. Then I went to university. When I got to university, I used the same formula, but I was not successful because I was not getting the marks that I needed to pass the degree my first year. So what I did, I changed my approach. I took the formula that I used at high school, and then what I did is every single break, 2-week break within the terms, that was a study time for me where I realized the more I worked during my breaks, the more I could get ahead. So that was a formula, because the formula that I used at high school was not working anymore. I put something together in order to help me with that. And that helped. I was able to get to university, work more and more. And during the breaks, those 2-week breaks, during the terms, I was able to work at all the subjects. I would eat, sleep sometimes with my books and spend a lot of time at the library where I could study. And that formula proved itself successful because I was able to get better marks in the second semester and the third semester. Then I finalized my university, and then I went back, came back to Angola, and then I started working. During the first year, I was struggling because when you're in the workplace, it's not longer that same formula that everything depends on yourself, where you sit down with your books and you read, as long as you understand that and you're able to prove that during the exam and you pass, that everything depends on yourself. But when you're in the workplace, that formula doesn't work anymore. You have to come up with a new formula. That was a struggle for me during my first year at the workplace, because there's no direct correlation between what I used at university, at high school, and then what I had to use at work. So what this pushed me to do is to come up with different formulas and try them to see which one would be successful. One thing that I did, which is very important, is I started to build my network where I get to know more and more the individuals that I work with. That made a very big difference, because one thing that I realized is when you're in the workplace and your work depends on other individuals for you to progress, where you ask for information and they have to send you information, it's much easier for them to send you the information when they know you. When you give them a call and they know who's the person behind the phone, who's the person behind the email, they will respond to your request easily. So that's something that I found out during my second year. And I started working on that formula, where you build network, you know individuals, and they will help you towards delivering your work. And that formula worked very well. And something that really has helped me in this process is you try a formula. If the formula doesn't work, that new tactic, you come back, you analyze, and then you come up with something new and you put again in place. By doing that, I came up with the third formula that I keep on always applying in the workplace. As the year passed by, I always came up with new things in order to improve, and I have improved in that. So life is a struggle, but you need to come up with ways to overcome those struggles. My question to you is, what struggles are you trying to overcome today? And what tactics or formulas are you using? I developed mine. What's yours? Thank you very much for your time. Over to you, Mr. Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Luciano. After I finished my matriculation, I thought trigonometric formulas are over. But I was not knowing that I have to make more formulas for the life. And the way you explained, the struggles are everywhere. You started with a revision, and the second one, networking. I think we need to evolve new formulas every day for our success. Thank you very much, Toastmaster Luciano. Now we have our third speaker, Toastmaster Arouna Joao. And his evaluator is Dr. John, and I will request him to share with us the project objectives.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster of the Day, fellow Toastmasters and guests. Toastmaster Arouna will be speaking from the Dynamic Leadership part, Level 1, Project number 3. And the purpose of this project is for the member to practice using vocal variety or body language to enhance a speech. When I met with Toastmaster Arouna yesterday, he indicated that he's working on vocal variety only. And so today we'll be evaluating him and providing greater feedback on his vocal variety to people in his delivery. The time is 5 to 7 minutes. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster John. Arouna Saul, a Toastmaster for 3 years, professionally a macroeconomist, and from Senegal. Arouna Saul, the voice of silence, the voices of silence. Arouna Saul, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the day. Ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, we are coming to the end of this meeting. So I would like to thank you for your attendance, your comment, and feedbacks. Hey, Arouna, we do receive any feedback from you today. Please, can you give us your comments about the methodology presented by the team? Thank you, dear Chairman. I think colleagues did great, and I have nothing to add. It was in 2009, during last meeting, about the methodology design of the national survey of household living condition in Burkina Faso. During this meeting, I decided to say nothing. Do you know why? Because during the previous meeting, I made a comment that was not appreciated. And during this last meeting, I said nothing. But my silence spoke more than all voices during this meeting. And people were so surprised because in that period, I was one who always had something to say. Dear Toastmaster, fellow guest, as a teacher or a parent, you can speak louder to talk about something important to your student or your children. You can also decide to speak slowly, to use few words, or to say anything at all. It's up to you. Fellow Toastmaster, dear guest, all in communication is not about speaking. The tone of your voice, your body language, and your silence sometimes tell more than your speech. In communication, you can decide to use body language when you agree, when you don't. You can also decide to make a run upload to congratulate someone. But most importantly, you can decide to say nothing, to make no body language, and to remain silent. Fellow Toastmaster, dear guest, whatever or decide to communicate, always think about the impact of your communication style to your audience. Word has power, speaking less is wisdom, and being silent is so powerful. Because being silent, it's a pretty way to make people confused because they don't know what is going in your mind, not your emotion. If you master the art of being silent in communication, you can influence more people than when you are speaking. But you need to make a balance between speaking and being silent. So how to make it? Let me share with you 3 tips. First of all, always speak less than you know. It's allowed you to learn more from others. Secondly, never speak first. Listen and observe more. And lastly, react less or remain silent. especially when people are looking for your reaction. It was I did during this meeting in 2009. As someone said, silence is one of the great art of communication, and it's better ever to be silent or to say things of more value than silence. Back to you, Toastmaster over there.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Arouna. Thank you very much for giving us the information about non-verbal communication, the importance of non-verbal communication, even the silence. When you don't speak, actually, we speak with a non-verbal communication. And that's. Thank you very much for sharing with us. Now, our fourth speaker is Toastmaster Lydiah Wanjiku, and her elevator is Toastmaster Mamadou. I ask Toastmaster Mamadou to share the objectives. Thank you. Over to you, Toastmaster Mamadou.
Hello, TMO, Toastmaster of the day, Paramjit. Thank you very much. Lydiah, hello. You will be speaking on the path dynamic leadership level 2 on your third speech, and introduction to Toastmasters mentoring. The purpose of her speech is for her to share some aspect of a previous experience as a protege. In other words, this is about sharing the importance of having a mentor. So Lydiah have requested that I share feedback on the speech structure in other areas if I choose to, but yes, the focus will be on her speech structure. Thank you, and back to you, dear TMOD.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Mamadou. Toastmaster Lydiah, a member from Kenya. She is a Toastmaster for about 2 years, and she loves eating and traveling. Toastmaster Lydiah, appreciation. Toastmaster Lydiah, appreciation, Toastmaster Lydiah. The stage is yours.
Let me appreciate all the Toastmasters in this call, together with our esteemed guests, for having their videos on. Because I'm happy I'm seeing the people I'm communicating with. And for those of us who are not able to put their videos on, again, I appreciate everyone. Since morning, since you woke up, how many of you have been appreciated? If you've been appreciated, just show with your hand. Thank you. How does it feel to be appreciated? I'm sure you'll agree with me. It feels good. You feel motivated and you feel connected. I always appreciate my mentor. In Toastmasters, a mentor is someone who is in good standing, someone who has finished a path successfully and also completed mentorship training successfully and received feedback from the protege. My mentor, Christine, was gritty. She never gave up supporting me. I'm so grateful for her support. She's the one who introduced me to Toastmasters. After the introduction, she told me, Lydiah, you have to do an icebreaker. I was just like, what is going to happen now? I've just joined. You want me to do an icebreaker? She told me, this one, you just give us a story about yourself. Introduce yourself. I relaxed, then I did a small draft as requested by my mentor. After doing that, before sending it, it was November. And November has a special day whereby men celebrate the International Men's Day. Happy International Men's Day in advance for the men in this room. Then I was looking for someone who was going to give us a speech to motivate our male colleagues in the office. Then I called my friend. My friend introduced me to someone. When that person called me, and then I told the person, we cannot meet tomorrow because tomorrow I will be giving a speech. He was very interested. What speech? Toastmasters. Immediately he told me that he's going to call me to hear more about it because he was a Toastmasters. And then I told him, I'm feeling a lot of butterflies. He requested me to send him my draft, which I did. And he's a writer in our daily newspaper in Kenya. He was very good because he went through it and he made some few adjustments and was able to appreciate me. After appreciating me again, I felt good and I was able to pick up from there. And when I gave it to my mentor was very grateful, and that is how I started giving my speech. After that, what did I learn from that? The number one learning that I got was it is a relationship. It's a relationship that you're going to have with your mentor and the protege. And also, number two, you are both learning. The mentor is learning as the mentor is giving support to the protege. The protege is learning as well as the mentor. And that way, you all learn and become good speakers, or even good in the areas that you're doing, because this life is full of turbulence. And what was the key takeaway? My key takeaway was, it's always good in life for you to be a mentor or a protege, or even both. So I'm leaving you with this question. When are you planning to be in any of that? Back to you, TMOD.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Toastmaster Lydiah. Mentor, mentor, mentor. I always say the one word which I have learned more than a word Toastmaster in my Toastmaster journey. And appreciating them and being a mentor is something very good experience. Now, our last speaker for the today is Toastmaster Jyothi. And our evaluator is Toastmaster Vinod Panicker. Toastmaster Vinod, please share the project objectives for Toastmaster Jyothi.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the Day. Toastmaster Jyothi is going to present her speech from the path Dynamic Leadership, Level 1, Project 1. It's an icebreaker. The purpose of the project is for the member to introduce herself to the club and learn the basic structure of public speech. The timing would be 4 to 6 minutes. Best wishes.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Vinod. Toastmaster Jyothi. She is a globetrotter. She moves here from one club all over the world. She is having her speeches and she completes pathways like anything. And today she's talking and she shared that this is my ice-breaking speech. Audience will probably see how we do it at leadership, as I have learned this at the coaching and practice sessions. Toastmaster Jyothi Thomas. Through life's currents. Toastmaster Jyothi, over to you.
Through life's currents. Yes, currents. Turbulence. Exactly what you heard. How do I put myself in a nutshell? I would like to say I'm sensitive, not weak. I'm honest, not mean. I'm devoted, not obsessed. I'm passionate, not extreme. Most of you will agree with me on this. Life truly is a gritty ride. We have our own moments, and that's exactly what my life was. Like how water cuts through the rock. It's not because of power, but because of resilience. My journey into Toastmasters happened at the most crucial, turbulent time when I lost my husband in 2006. All put together the package, over about 10 years, give or take, I'm here today. What brought me here? Zip file. It was my perseverance in search of there's something more beyond what I'm getting. And that is where we say divine connects the dot. And I'm here at Leadership Speak this month. That makes it 18 months put together. Learning is what I'm passionate about. Let me quickly look back. With the double masters in public administration and education, diploma in the Cambridge International for training and teaching, NLP, Gestalt, Six-Hub Thinking, Six Sigma, Woman Entrepreneurship Mentoring. All that is learning, but life still throws stones at you and we learn to duck. Where did I learn about dynamic leaders? It was part of my upbringing. There were 4 phenomenal people when I was being brought up in a huge traditional Indian household, which was completely a joint, huge family. That was almost like a reality show. Chaos, yet camaraderie. Can you even imagine? The 4 people who shaped my life. My father, who was in the army, who always said, stand up, be strong. There is nothing called failures. Keep going. There is always a new way of doing things. My mother, the softest lady, who put this thing into my head to say goodness never goes unnoticed. Don't wait for a pat on your back. Keep going. My grandfather, who ignited the idea of asking questions and to look beyond what was obvious. My husband, who stood by me proudly, watching me fight for social justice. That's the culmination that you see in me today. Moving to Canada in the early 80s as a young bride, we just heard change is the only constant in life. Well, I can say I was quite a gritty person. It wasn't only the weather. In India, we have only hot, hotter, hottest. In Canada, 6 months, I was freezing. Overcome that. Working 3 jobs, still standing strong, away from everybody. We keep learning. Where does this leadership take you? What do we learn through that? It is always what we see. But there's something more beyond what we see. What about my life here as a Toastmaster? That's what you would like to know. I'm here because I wanted to be at a club that had global audience, and every speech of mine I thought should be delivered at a place where everybody understood and the content would go across to all. Precisely that's what I got. Pushing me beyond the boundaries was the 4 pillars of my life. When you come from a huge family, they give you that resilience to say, move on, like my dad would say, Daddy is always there. That is what gives you the courage. It's my mother's wisdom that has given me today to do the work of a social entrepreneur, making sure it's not all about money. Yes, who doesn't say no for the green moolah? We do need it, but giving back to the society is important. While I completed 7 pathways at my home club, I was so excited when I came into leadership because that's where I wanted to be. Today with ProSpeak coaching, and wonderful family like I see right there in front of me, and many who are not there, who nudged me, guided me, supported me, and put me there. That is my life today. My icebreaker where I can speak confidently and not feel shy, open my vulnerabilities and still say, I will go on. There are moments where the turbulence is so much I want to drop and run. And I find somebody right there in you who picks me up. Well, that's life. Change is constant. Life through the currents. Fellow Toastmasters, every day is a new day. I keep learning to be a better version of myself. Learning is what I'm passionate about. Today, I spend my time into accumulating brownie points for my spiritual journey, but that doesn't mean I'm sitting and waiting to die. That was supposed to be a little bit of humor. Well, I don't see anybody smiling. Let me end by saying, life can only be understood looking backwards. But it must be lived forward. And I'm sure you will all agree with it. We are in the right space. Want to know more about me? Ping me. Thank you. Over to the Toastmaster of the day.
Toastmaster Jyothi, certainly we agree with you. And the 4 pillars and the 4 people who shape your life. Of course, there are a lot of other people who made your life and your trainings. Thank you very much. Toastmaster John, please share the timing report in the chat. And I request our Zoom master to launch the poll for the best effort speaker. As we are in the process of voting, please vote. I would now like to hand over the session to our general evaluator. The general evaluator today is Leah Musonga. She is a Toastmaster enthusiast, previously served as VPPR of Gaborone Toastmaster Club, has been an area director and was a division O director in District 74. Her love of reading resulted in her serving as the editor for D74 Achieving Excellence. She is currently serving on the District 74 as cabinet as logistic manager. Leah Musonga, please help me welcome our general evaluator, Leah Musonga. The stage is yours.
Thank you so much, Mr. Toastmaster of the Day. And I'm sure you would all agree with me that you all admire the gritty determination of our speakers thus far. So as we enter this evaluation session, the beauty about evaluations, which is the feedback that is going to be provided for our speaker, is that it leads to positive learning outcomes, and the quality of feedback matters more than the quantity of the feedback. So I would like to invite our first evaluator to the virtual stage, and that is Rosie Rana, who will be evaluating our toast of the day. So Rosie, you may please come to the virtual stage and give us the evaluation for our toast of the day.
Madam Toastmaster or Madam General Evaluator, the toast by Terence today was beautifully delivered. The expressions that were used were really evocative. I mean, they brought out emotions just through the wordings, whether it's the stormiest of waters, in moments of turbulence, navigating difficult times. He also then spoke to leaders who navigate through these times and the qualities of what must be there in terms of their requirements, from listening, stepping forward, embracing change and the like. I thought he spoke clearly, audibly, and he did real justice to the theme. Now, Terence, my only beef was that it was so beautiful to listen to you, and I wanted to hear more. You had 3 full minutes at least to deliver this, and you used barely half your time. I was sort of left, I was thirsty. I wanted more. So do try and use more of your time. You had the opportunity either to bring a time that you faced turbulence, and I think that would have added, personified it and brought more depth to it. Secondly, a toast is there to honor an occasion. And while you honored in many ways leaders who navigate through these turbulent times, the tone needs to be more, elevating and reinforcing or positive. So a smile would have been nice. You sort of looked through almost seriously throughout. So I encourage you to smile when you deliver a social speech, because it adds value and it goes with the mood of what a toast is meant to be. So all in all, to summarize, beautifully delivered, wonderful use of the Queen's language, and being a grammarian, that worked really well for me. You exalted or lifted up leaders, so you honored us well, or honored leaders who go through turbulent times. I recommend speak more. You have time, use it wisely, smile. You took the stage, but smile and make us feel that toast as a social speech. Well done, and thank you very much. Back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you so much, Rosie, for that. And obviously, an evaluation is also a speech that you are given. So thank you. From that, it was clear there was an introduction, there was a body, and you also provided a summary of your evaluation. I like the fact that you stated specific items that were excelled at, and also ways that our speaker could effectively improve on in terms of improving that speech the next time. So thank you for that evaluation, Rosie. I would like to invite our next evaluator, and that is Hannah, who will be evaluating our Toastmaster of the day. And when asked Hannah about what she thought about our theme for today, she said, true leadership through turbulence is the ability to remain calm under pressure, to adapt quickly and guide others with confidence despite the storm. Hannah, you may take the virtual stage.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. Paramjit, thank you very much for stepping in at such a short time to take over the role as the TMOD. Usually a TMOD is assigned 14 days ahead of time, allowing them ample opportunity to prepare. Yet when I checked Easy Speak on the 9th, on Monday of this week, over 80% had accepted their roles and speaking slots. Well done. Yet, the Toastmaster had an exceptionally turbulent time. With fewer than half of the members attending, it is challenging to find a replacement for the vacant roles. Fill them all and still provide the necessary training at such short notice. Congratulations on achieving a full house on that. Paramjit, when we met on Zoom, you mentioned that all the speakers and role players had been contacted to confirm their spots. And the self-directed leaders, they promised that they would comply. Yet, however, on Friday, not all the speakers had put in their full details of their assignments. One speaker didn't even have the title listed yet. For your Zoom presence, I challenge you to be present, shall I say visible a bit more and at least all the times. At times you were only visible when announcements were made. When introducing the speakers, you addressed the audience rather than speaking directly to them, and you provided concise and to-the-point introductions. Thank you for asking that the guest book be posted in the chat. The guest's feedback motivates us to raise the bar. When speaking about the theme, oh, I love that. Just like that little girl who trusted her father, we, the members of Leadership Speak, trust our leaders. And Paramjit, as Toastmaster of the Day, you have been gritty in leading a great meeting today, and you excelled in your leadership through turbulence. Your humor speaks volumes. Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you so much, Hannah, for that. And indeed, providing a clear evaluation for our Toastmaster of the day. I was actually waiting towards the end in terms of all that you were saying, because it's very clear that you've been paying attention in terms of what has been happening in terms of the planning of this meeting, even before the meeting actually started today. So thank you for providing such a clear evaluation for our Toastmaster of the day, and also stating in terms of areas that can be improved on. I would like to invite our next evaluator, and that's our evaluator for our leadership speaker. And I'd like to invite Ray to the virtual stage to give us the evaluation for Nthati's speech.
Thank you so much, Madam General Evaluator. Nthati, I was reviewing your speech, thinking about how gritty you exemplified your message to us, the audience. I have to admit that your opening grabbed us by our shoulders and said, listen, I have something very important to say. And you challenged us how to see the opportunity of providing leadership through turbulence, through your examples, through your 5 points. You use your voice to emphasize the major points. You presented several great quotes. For example, being subjective and not objective, participate, mitigate risks, proactive, not reactive, and one of my favorites, changing the status quo. Isn't that what proactive, gritty leadership is all about? Leading through turbulence? It certainly is. There are so many great qualities. Your vocal variety was excellent. You emphasized your points with your voice, and you used your body language as part of the transitioning for each of the major points during your speech. There was one thing that can be improved upon in your presentation. It has to do with your way you blended into the virtual background. I am one where the speaker's trying to present a message. Here I am, and all of a sudden, bleep, you disappear. It's a distraction. You have to be very careful when that happens. And if it does, if it keeps happening, one idea is to use a green screen so that the audience can focus on you and not your disappearance. I also noticed you adjusted the camera a couple of times. Maybe when you practice, keep the camera focused. Make sure you be in the center square. It's a very common photography technique. It applies here. in where we do a virtual meeting. And so to challenge yourself, record yourself when you practice a speech. You can like this speech or another 5 to 7 minute speech, or even portions of a speech like that. Find those places where you can insert a pause, tweak a body language, use an enhanced gesture. Those are the things that you can use and when you study yourself on video. And then you can emphasize your points non-verbally. Shorten or even eliminate the words and use the body language to emphasize your point. Overall, a fantastic speech. You surely met the requirements of preparing to speak professionally. You're ready. Over to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you so much, Ray, for that, and indeed for highlighting the fact of the Zoom presence, which is always important when we find ourselves in a virtual meeting, to ensure that we are clear. And thank you indeed for highlighting that in terms of a way to improve one's presentation when you are presenting your speech. I would like to invite our next evaluator. And they say a Toastmaster wears many hats. And I would like to invite Vinod, who was evaluating our first evaluator, to please come to the virtual stage.
Thank you, General Evaluator. Toastmaster Nicole, your speech reminded me of a book and an author. The book is Man's Search for Meaning, and the author is Viktor Frankl. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space lies our freedom and power to choose our response. What a wonderful speech where you emphasize on whenever there is an opportunity to react or respond, what should be done. Not only you told us what should be done, you showed us how it should be done. I am going to evaluate using the acronym that you shared with us, that is ACE, A, C, and A. Now the A stands for audience awareness or the audience value. Did the audience get value from your speech? Yes, because you gave them a tool that can be used immediately after the meeting. You gave them an acronym called as ACE, Acknowledge, Cope, and Express, which is a scientific method to deal with emotional situation. Thank you very much for that. The C, content. Your content, the opening that you did, what happened? It grabbed the attention. Then you did something which was very logical. I could connect that. You mentioned about October 15 and October 29, and the project requires you to journal your thoughts for 14 days. So you very carefully chose those 2 dates where you explicitly mentioned very clearly that I have done this journaling for 14 days. So I was all in there when you used that dates logically. Now, after that, there was a story of you and your daughter. And the third E is to elicit emotion, because your speech was all about emotion. Now, when the daughter banged the door, when you were angry, I could feel that. I have a 6-year-old son, and every day, at least 10 times, I go through this reaction. And when I did that project, it was very useful for me. So the ACE, the acronym, I feel it was amazing. To ace it up, what can be done? The first, Zoom. Let me say that if you could go one step back, it could be much better. We can see you waist up, and it will feel that you have an authority on the screen because you were too near to the screen. Even though we could see your facial expression, it was okay. But I would recommend that be just 1 or 2 steps back so that we can see you as a whole and you can move your body. Second, create a scene, just as the basics of writing: what, where, when, why, how. The four wives and one husband, right? So when you had that scene that captivated all of us, or at least me, You could have explained where were you exactly, what color was the car, how hard was that sound, was it a warm day, was it a breezy day? So you could have used vivid imagery and made the audience dive into that story. You could have created that scene. The third is your facial expression. So you could have used when you were angry, you could have shown that anger, and then you remembered something to respond and smile. So I missed that facial expression. So overall, I believe that you are doing an amazing job. Use creative ways to add spice to your speech to be more effective and keep acing and changing the lives of people. Thank you very much. And back to you, G.
Thank you so much, Vinod, for that. And indeed, following the structure of the introduction, the body, and trying to summarize, but I could see, I think towards the end, maybe because of time, you were not able to summarize properly, but indeed, thank you for ensuring that you did state 3 ways that our speaker could effectively use in terms of improving their speech further, especially with the use of the acronym that you used in your evaluation. I would then like to invite our next evaluator, and that is Rose, who was evaluating our second speaker, Luciano.
Luciano, that was a great speech. I liked the structure of the speech. You had a beginning where you asked us a question. What struggle are you overcoming today? You had a body. And in the body, you gave us 3 highlights. One was when you're at high school. The second one at university. And the third one when you began work. I really like that. And you also gave us a question at the end where you said, I developed a formula, what is yours? It was very engaging. You were comfortable on stage, and I loved your hand gestures. You did that very well. I would, however, suggest that you could consider making more use of the stage. You had a full stage ahead of you. You were more focused in one place. You could move around the stage. Secondly, you may want to use more vocal variety. You had 3 wonderful opportunities. When you're telling us that life is a struggle, it's not easy. You may have wanted to display that with your emotions. You also talked about moving and having to learn a new language in South Africa. You may have even used a few words and explained what they mean. And at the university, there was a time when your formula did not work. It was unsuccessful. You may have wanted to show us the emotion of disappointment. Though you overcame, you may have wanted to show us how happy you are when your formula succeeded. You are a little monotone, and you may have varied your vocals at each of those stages, at high school, at university, and when you began work. You may also consider adding a little more time to the pauses. You had a very good chance when you were telling us that you are a chemical engineer. And also when you mentioned that when one failed, they would be out of university for 12 months. That's major. That could have been emphasized. I would recommend, Luciano, that you could use the power of 3 as you conclude, so that you leave us with a take home. Your formula was good. You could have mentioned that we need to read ahead and prepare well. You could have mentioned that at university or in life, we can make better use of our breaks, and at work and generally in life, we would benefit from use of our networks, and we will do well to build our networks. All in all, it was a very good speech. It met its objective of developing a formula which we can use, and it met the project's objective of presenting a well-defined speech with a purpose, well-structured, and well-delivered. In conclusion, use more of the stage, use vocal variety, a few more pauses, a little more emotion, and the power of 3. Wonderful speech. Well done, Luciano, as you move forward. Back to you, Evaluator.
Thank you so much, Rose, for that evaluation, and indeed for highlighting how vocal variety can be used as a way to engage your audience a bit more. Just to say, be mindful, because you did, in terms of some of the positive learning points that could be used, you did state the use of the power of 3, and I realized you gave quite a lot of positive learning points that our speaker could use, and it ended up, I was actually looking at the time, it went beyond time. So try and summarize your points in terms of what you are giving, in terms of what is done well and what can be used, what the speaker can be, what can be used to challenge themselves, just to ensure that it's very precise in terms of, so that the speaker can know exactly what can be done. But otherwise, thank you for that evaluation. I would like to invite our next evaluator again. As they always say, a Toastmaster wears many hats, and I'd like to invite John to the virtual stage to please come and give us the evaluation for for Arouna's speech.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator, and thank you, Arouna, for your speech titled Voices of Silence. I enjoyed and I liked the content that you presented, because you started off with a statement or a story that I was wondering where it was connecting to, until I realized that it was well connected to your voice of silence, in which you said, when you were asked, when you used to speak earlier at meetings, there was a time when you stopped because it was not being appreciated. And that gave me a note of thought as to, oh, this is one way to make sure that your silence speaks volume. And you reiterated that when you said that in Toastmasters, if you master the art of silence, the message will be there and the message will speak loud and clear. I also like the way in which you provided us 3 things about how to master this voice of silence. You said we should always speak less than we know, never speak to speak less, and also to react less. So in all these 3, this gave us some good examples of how to ensure that our silence speaks volume, but it's meaningful to it. You, Toastmaster Arouna, you again used a variety of volume as well as normal speed to be able to deliver your speech today. However, I thought that I did not get the essence of pause to emphasize, to provide emphasis, and which means that I thought that, well, if you have provided some, a lot of some transition, and during those, giving us some signposts in which you transition from one stage of your speech to the other, it will give us give you some opportunity to pause and pause for the audience to understand what you said and to know where you are going, which will highlight the essence of the silence that you said. So pause will enable you to dramatize and provide to enhance for the audience to capture the meaning of your statement. All in all, in conclusion, I like your content, and I liked the beginning as well as your message. However, please consider next time the use of pause to emphasize your speech, and also tone, particularly the pitch, in order to enhance it. I look forward to your next speech. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you so much, John, for that, and indeed for emphasizing the need for the message to be clear in terms of what the person is presenting. And yeah, thank you for that evaluation. I will then move on to our next evaluator, and that is Mamadou, who was evaluating Lydiah's speech.
Thank you, GE, and hello, dear Toastmasters and guests once again. Lydiah, appreciation. First off, I appreciate you. You walk the talk. Your speech was about appreciation, and you started, during the first 2 minutes, you appreciated us. You even informed us. I didn't know that this month was International Men's Day. You appreciated us. You added value to us. You even brought new information to us. And you also connected. My camera was closed. And you, as you were asking, you were appreciating those who opened the camera. I was prompted to open mine. So you connected with us. You didn't only communicate. You have not only communicated, but you connected with us deeply. Now what? The structure. Your speech was like a current, a river, or I would say a tapestry, where each thread and color connects seamlessly with the other. You took us on a journey. I would even say you could have been a great tour guide for us today, because you took us on a journey with your brother, who was your mentor, and you were the protege. And you explained clearly how it feels to not only to be appreciated, but also how it feels to be mentored, and how it feels to mentor as well. So it's a two-way street. So that's really connected with us. And as you were progressing, we were seeing like you were creating a vivid picture of purpose and possibility and hope. So you gave us a masterful symphony and a powerful call to action at the end. When are you planning to do more of that? That's what you asked us. And you left us craving for more. Well, that could also be a two-edged sword. It was sweet and a bit too short. We wanted more. We wanted more. So you had time to give us more, to took us on the journey, and not stop where we were again craving for more. But you did really well. Your poses were intentional. So it was not like a collection of thoughts that you were sharing, but it was really a marvelous journey. And it would also be great if you shift tones when you were changing from your mentor to yourself. That's again, that was really structured, beautifully led and shared. Back to you, GE.
Thank you so much, Mamadou, for that evaluation and indeed for stating aspects that were done well and also providing aspects that the speaker could effectively improve on. And always to remember that when we conclude our evaluation, we should always summarize the evaluation. Like I said, it is a speech, and it should follow the same structure as a typical speech. I'd like to then invite our final evaluator, but before he comes to the stage, when asked about the theme for today, Vinod said, anyone can lead when things are good, only leaders can lead through turbulence. And as I have previously stated, so Vinod is coming back to evaluate our final speaker. He was waiting two people, which is from, which is, I always say, Toastmaster wears many hats. So thank you, Vinod, for evaluating yet again. You may take the virtual stage.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. I'm not able to see myself on the screen. Can I? Yeah, now I am. Thank you very much, Zoom Master. So, Toastmaster Jyothi, look back, learn, and move forward. This is what I knew we have to do with life. But you taught me today, look back, smile, and move forward. That is what I have learned from your speech today. I will be evaluating you based on the 3S structure, 3S method, that is style, substance, and structure. Let me come to your style. Toastmaster Jyothi, you have an amazing radiant smile and a style. When you come up on the screen, it feels the sun is shining. You really fill the screen with radiance and it is bright. And you actually gave life to words. And I will give you two examples. The first was the contrast that you made between India and Canada. Hot, hotter, hottest, and 6 months snow. I could feel that snow, really. And the second example was the rock and the water. No matter how hard the rock is, if the water consistently or persistently go through it, the rock will become softer. So you have that ability and that style to give life to words. So that was amazing. Second is, let me check about the structure. You started your speech as the TMOD mentioned about the speech title. You immediately mentioned that statement through the life currents. So the title and the opening was the same. And then you went on to share about the story, the icebreaker. I have known you much better. I didn't knew about your two masters and all the other things that you have mentioned. Then you mentioned about the 4 pillars of your life. Very nicely done. Now, I took permission from Toastmaster Jyothi to, like what you say, no, would you like the evaluation? So I would just use one thing, the point of development. So you made a lot of claims that there were 4 pillars in your life. For example, your father taught you to stand up and stay strong. Your mother told you to goodness never goes. Now, these were all points made. You could have given one example. That would have really made the speech going to the next level. So when we don't give example, it is more like showing up and throwing up. I usually don't use these words. With Jyothi, I am using that. So don't show up and throw up. Any claim that we are making or any statement we are making, make sure that you are giving it evidence or proving it something. So I believe that 4 pillar story and a Toastmaster story would have given us a lot more depth into your life rather than you telling us these are the 3 things I learned, these are the 4 pillars they taught me, tuck, 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 tuck. And your closing. Your closing could have been the circular construction. You mentioned your closing went into life is a constant, change is constant, and life is lived forward. You never mentioned this in between or in the beginning. In the beginning, you had mentioned only living through the currents of life. I could have loved to use that same phrase again, and you would have invited means all our audience who have been your pillars, learn the lesson from them and go through the current, somewhat like that. So overall, you are an amazing speaker with good style. Work on the structure and the substance. Whenever you make a claim, whenever you make a claim, give the evidence, and then you will be really spreading your sunshine all over the world very soon. Thank you, and back to you, Jay.
Thank you so much, Vinod, for that. I can see that you use the power of three with the triple S. That was very interesting. And indeed, emphasizing back again to the use of evidence when you do state something. I know it's part of in terms of evaluation, it's part of in terms of each to be an effective evaluator. When a speaker does state something, it's good to provide that evidence. So thank you so much for emphasizing the need to ensure that we do indeed provide evidence for whatever statement that we state in a speech. So those were the evaluations for our speakers today. I would like to invite our evaluators to ensure that they do share the maybe more detailed evaluation with the speakers, just so that maybe they can read up on it and ensure that they follow up on the amazing evaluations that have been provided so far. I can see the time has been shared in the chat for our evaluators, and at this point, I would like to invite grammarian Rosie to give us the evaluation. To give us the report for the grammarian report. To give us the grammarian report. Rosie can tell us how we use the English language today.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. Today's meeting was peppered with striking examples of figurative language. These truly added impact to the speeches that we heard delivered. They enhanced the emotional connection. And I'd like to maybe pick on 2 or 3 just to emphasize them. First was the use of vivid descriptive language. For example, Nthati said, when we were struck by the pandemic, or later down the speech, when the pandemic knocked on the doors of South Africa. I mean, wow. This just takes away from the pandemic being simply an event to being an active force that, you could feel it, it evokes that emotion in you. There were other similar examples, sparked my response to journal. It personifies things, or the stormiest of waters, or traverse the path of effective leadership. Those are all metaphorical, the person behind the phone. I found lots of examples today in today's speeches. Life throws stones at you and you learn to duck. Wow. Ignited the idea of asking questions, like it sparked that idea, yeah. Then there were contrasts. I loved how, I believe it was Nicole who used out of my control and inside or in my control. Then there was leaders that are not inside, I would like inward, but that were not inwardly looking, but they look beyond. Not react, but response. Then there's the powerful bit on silence. My silence spoke more than all the voices in the meeting. Jyothi, I've just tweaked it to suit myself because I really liked, and Vinod alluded to it, India being hot, hotter, hottest. I would have liked you to say, and in Canada during the winters, it was cold, colder, and coldest. I mean, it was just perfect, yeah? Subjective, not objective. There were various triads from courageous, resilient, and visionary, eat, speak, and spend time, feel good, motivated, and appreciated, nudged me, guided me, supported me. Some areas that perhaps we could have done better. Oh, I do see the red, so just one maybe. Turbulence is not a countable noun. It is uncountable. So you can't say the turbulence. You say life, or you say as leaders who navigate through turbulence, or you do not say life is a turbulent or is a turbulence. You say life is full of turbulence. Finally, people who use word of the day, Baron in the chat, Lydiah, Jyothi, Leah, Hannah, and Ray. Thank you very much for the beautiful language used today. Back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you so much for that grammarian report. I'm not too sure if this is the time when the Zoom Master launches the... All right, there it goes. There is something that has popped up on your screen where we vote for the best effort evaluator. So while that is going on, I would like to invite Bram to the virtual stage, who will be giving us the critical thinking evaluation.
Thank you, Leah. Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. Ladies and gentlemen, my job here is to make sure that those who really want to speak at an advanced level and get an evaluation at an advanced level do that, because we conduct a lot of trainings. Now, this is for the guests. We do conduct a lot of trainings in how to speak in a club that is an advanced Toastmasters club, and the evaluations that are much more advanced. So one of the things that I'll bring up a couple of slides here. There we go. One of the things we talk about is the relationship between evaluator and the speaker. So if I can, let me see if I can have something happening here in my technology. Well, there's things that are happening on my... Okay, let's see. Wonderful. So there we go. There's a speaker. And well, I suppose if I can switch off myself, that'll be great, better. So a speaker is as good as his last evaluation. And therefore, there's this relationship between a speaker and an evaluator, right? And did the speaker really speak with the evaluator before the presentation? We had an advanced club, so that is one of the things that we are emphasizing on, that the speaker and the evaluator speak to each other. And an evaluator is as good as his last presentation, the feedback received and incorporated into future presentations, because as an evaluator, you become better as a speaker, and as a speaker, you become better as an evaluator, because you are communicating with each other as to how you should be coordinating your presentation and the evaluation. This is the way to improve very rapidly, rather than have that glass ceiling where year after year, month after month, you'll get an evaluation. Oh, once, you'll get an evaluation. Or your content could have been better. You should have begun your speech better. You could have ended your speech better, or whatever it is that the evaluation. But you don't want that to happen year after year, month after month. You should be improving, and this is one of the best ways of improving your presentation. So it is like a circle: speaker, evaluator, evaluator, speaker. It is the way it goes. And be consistent in making sure that you speak to your evaluator, or the evaluator speaks to the speaker. So it's like two sides to a coin. There's no wall between an evaluator and a speaker, none whatsoever. Like, we think there's a wall there and that we are sitting on the different sides of a fence. You are not sitting on the different sides of a fence, ladies and gentlemen. That is a myth. We are on the same side. It's a partnership. And we need to break down that wall between a speaker and an evaluator. As I've mentioned in my presentations, in my training before, and we've talked about it quite a bit, a speaker and an evaluator is an inseparable partnership. And that's what it is. So once this partnership is established, the speaker and the evaluator can move rapidly in the learning progression and becoming much better at what they do. Now, the other thing we emphasize on is this is an advanced club. So you are going to speak very differently. You're going to evaluate very differently in an advanced club. So what is that? Well, ladies and gentlemen, a speech in an advanced club is always going to be about the audience. We emphasize that quite a bit. We've emphasized it quite a bit before. But I still have to hear a bit more about how the presentation is structured in an evaluation, as well as actually a presenter presenting with that in mind. So that would be a great thing to happen. All right, here you can see my face. I'm still here. So if you know what the conclusion is and the call to action, was there really a call to action? Did the evaluator really mention that they got the call to action today? So have a look at that, dear evaluators and speakers. Was there a call to action, a definitive call to action? Was your title and the opening consistent with the call to action and the conclusion? And how was the speech constructed towards that conclusion? That is an advanced speech. An advanced speaker speaks that way, and an evaluator is listening for that. And I would like to see that incorporated into your speech. So, and did the presentation inform, inspire, motivate, persuade, and what did the presentation actually do? We'd like to hear that more as an advanced club. Okay, so that is all about critical thinking that I always emphasize. It is always critical thinking. I'd like to ask if you can spotlight Nzinga Jess here for a second. Mr. Zoom Master with Alacrity, if you can spotlight Nzinga. Hey Nzinga, how are you doing?
Doing great. How
Now,
are
the
you,
reason
Brian?
why I'm doing awesome, thank you. Now, the reason why I've asked Nzinga to be spotlighted is most evaluators, actually all evaluators, would have heard from her about a tool that we are rolling out to help you become better at evaluations and how to really think critically about the speaker. We will also be rolling out a similar tool for the speakers, as well as to how are you going to structure your speech that is consistent with an advanced club. So Nzinga will be following with you. Hi, Nzinga. How is it going so far?
It's the second week, actually, Bram.
Yes,
the evaluators received a nudge from me. I shared the self-assessment form. It has 10 questions. It also includes the links with your previous workshops on evaluations and critical thinking. So it's a pack helping the evaluators to prepare for the evaluations. And I nudged them again after the meeting just to encourage them to complete their self-assessment and incorporate in future evaluations.
Superb. And for those who want to be in a club contest, you'd better think, it doesn't matter what club you are in, whether you're in a community club or an advanced club, you have to think about, what's in it for the audience, how you're going to arrive at that conclusion, what's your title, what's your opening. That's so necessary if you're especially going to be in a contest, because in a contest, this is what the judges are really looking for. Does it really make sense to the audience in the end? So we will be holding, of course, club contest soon, Nzinga, and also our next training session will happen in January, sometime mid-January. And so all the guests, if you really want to speak well and be heard and do an advanced evaluation, this is the place to be. With that, back to you, Madam G.
Thank you, Ram, for that, and indeed for reminding us that this is indeed an advanced club and everything that we do has to be at a higher level. So I'll then just get into my evaluation as the general evaluator. And I must say that obviously every meeting that is held in this club, the planning for it doesn't start a few days, but it actually starts about 2 weeks in advance, as stated by our evaluator of the Toastmaster of the day. And this meeting was started being put together about 2 weeks ago. And at least by this week, everything was coming together. And that is why you'll notice that when the meeting when the meeting does take place on a Saturday, there's quite a lot that has definitely happened in the background that ensures that indeed we have a successful meeting on a Saturday. And I should say, indeed, we have had a very successful meeting this Saturday. And I'm sure you would all agree with me that the speeches were very enlightening, and you definitely learned and picked up one or two things that can definitely help you as you move along. I think for me, in terms of just one or two things that I would suggest for our meetings in terms of just to help us improve better is maybe just the emphasis on the word of the day, unless one is being deliberate and actually maybe checking I know the word of the day, the person has it behind them, but if you're not looking at it, I tend to realize most of the speakers generally don't use it. So maybe just the Toastmaster of the day, maybe to remind speakers that there is a word of the day, or maybe if it can also be shared in the chat. I don't know if that is something that can be implemented just to ensure, because obviously part of Toastmasters is incorporating new words, including them into our vocabulary. So I know that's why we want to ensure that we do incorporate the word of the day when we do come to a meeting. Then I think the second thing is just to be mindful of the time. So just to encourage speakers, the timer is there, the hand is raised. So which means that we should be mindful and look when it turns red, know that we've got 30 seconds to wrap up. So just as a reminder to say the red is not a suggestion to keep on talking, but it's a suggestion to say time to start winding up, just to ensure that indeed, because we definitely start on time. So if we are following the timing guides, then we will also ensure that indeed we do finish on time. But other than that, great meeting that was planned. Definitely a big hand to our Toastmaster of the day stepping in as stated at the last minute and ensuring that we had a very successful meeting today. With that being said, I have come to the end of my evaluation of the meeting, and now then hand back to our Toastmaster of the day back to you, Paramjit.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Leah, for giving us the insights and the improvements for our meetings. Now I would like to call upon Nikita Winklow for the thought of the day. Nikita Winklow is the semi-finalist for the WCPS to 2020-23. The stage is yours.
Thank you very much. So when there is turbulence, all sorts of situations can happen, and everyone reacts differently to these situations. Often the reactions of people, the fear, the chaos, the collective chaos and fear is what intensifies turbulences. So this is my thought of the day. What is your position as a leader when there is turbulence? This is a question that was asked by Toastmaster Nthati. Will you be paralyzed by the fear, like those on the plane? Or will you let your emotions ace you? Will you be the little girl who trusts the pilot? And who is that pilot for you? Is the pilot spirit, God, ancestors, or your divine self? Or will you be the pilot who faces turbulences with skill, grit, and experience? If you are the pilot, or if you would like to grow to respond to turbulences like a pilot, Toastmaster Nicole taught us today that first you have to ace. You have to ace your emotions. And acing your emotions is a daily and a lifelong practice. So as we all know, pilots are masters of flying through turbulence. They also know that turbulences are there to pave their way for profound learning. I am a lover of turbulence. Yes, my heart jumps out of my chest when something turbulent happens in my life. But I am a lover because of turbulence, and I appreciate it for one reason. Life's currents, as Toastmaster Jyothi says, will only strengthen my resilience, it will deepen my wisdom as a leader, and it will shape me into a more compassionate and adaptable individual. My fellow Toastmasters, we are so conditioned to control everything in life, to plan for everything, but we all know that not everything can be planned for. The key is to prepare ourselves so that when turbulence hits, we have aced the response for the here and for the now. What I mean by ace here is that when turbulence hits, we should be able to have mastered ourselves emotionally to respond and not to react to the chaos. As such, the gift of turbulence is to remind us that there is only the here and the now. Trust yourself as a competent pilot and let your response ignite camaraderie from the chaos. That's my thought for today.
Wow. Trust yourself as a good pilot. Well, thank you very much, Nikita, for reminding us. Now, for the turbulence, our meeting today, every meeting, everything has a turbulence. And I have number of very good role players here, Timer, John, Jeffo, Grammarian, Sergeant at Arm, who did wonderful. But in turbulence, there's always some people who are behind the scenes, which you don't see what they are doing. And I would like to offer my gratitude to all of them, particularly Karine Baptist, Baron Ochola, Luciano, as well as Jyothi and Toastmaster Hana. They are there when the things are passing through, the meeting start and meeting progress goes. Every month, every week they are doing behind the scenes. So I offer my deepest gratitude to them. I extend my greatest gratitude to them. And Baron, are we having this certificates ready? Let us see who are the best effort speaker and best effort evaluator. Baron. Wow. Jyothi Thomas, best speaker. Congratulations. Toastmaster Vinod Panicker. Congratulations, Toastmaster Vinod. Thank you very much, Baron. Thank you very much, everyone, for a wonderful meeting, all your active participation. Now I would like to hand over to our president, Toastmaster Brahm, to share the thoughts with the guests. Over to you, Toastmaster Brahm.
Thank you. Thank you, Paramjit, for a wonderful job done today and done with alacrity and taking care of all the last-minute mishaps that always happen because we live in turbulent times, or not. So, but you exemplified how the theme of the meeting by making sure that whatever turbulence was happening, you took care of it. And you did that very well. Now, I want to talk to the guests, but I will only call guests who are not regular here. They're more regular guests, of course. We won't call on them because we've heard from them and we know who they are. We have Caroline Mwasigala. Caroline Mwasigala. Are you there, Caroline? All right. Rosemary Sweeney. Okay. Looks like they're away from their computer. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I think that is the only two guests that are not regular here. So I will now pass it back to our Toastmaster of the day to adjourn the meeting.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Brahm. With all the powers extended by President to me, I will now adjourn the meeting. Zoom Master, please stop the recording, and I will stop the YouTube live stream.